Eric Stein was teasing us that this was the symposium to not miss, the most important symposium in Sitecore's history. And then I'm very impressed that they kept the lid on the key announcements. But yeah, Sitecore AI, extremely exciting. I think it's great for everyone.
Eric Stein brought a really good question. He started off like a question saying, what question is your brand trying to answer? And that's very powerful because that means that you need to learn what's your purpose without going into all this tech, which is wonderful, right?
Jared, want to start with you. You did a session with our client Growmark, which congrats, by the way, because that went live yesterday. So congrats to you, the Growmark team, Rebecca, very excited there. But how did the session go? Welcome, and thank you for tuning in for another episode of the Sitecore Water Cooler, the casual conversation podcast dedicated to covering all things related to Sitecore, including product updates, implementation insights, getting the most out of your Sitecore investment, and more. I'm your co-host today, Maggie Burke, Sitecore Operations Director and Sitecore MVP at AmericanEagle.com. We are back, and those of us in the Chicagoland area came back to snow, so we're fresh off Sitecore Symposium 2025 in sunny Orlando, and all I can really say is, wow, what a week. From major product announcements to real-world success stories and inspiring keynotes, there was really no shortage of moments worth talking about. In this episode, we're breaking down the biggest highlights, key takeaways, and what it all means for the future of digital experience. So whether you were there in person or following along with the LinkedIn buzz, we've got a lot to unpack. We are joined today by members from our team to unpack the biggest announcements, standout sessions, and key takeaways from the event and what they mean for the future of composability and customer engagement. We also have a special guest on today, Rogelio Villanueva, Director of Global Web Marketing at Shure, to give his insight on the customer experience at Symposium. So, gentlemen, again, welcome to the water cooler.
Thank you. Thanks, Maggie. Thank you, Maggie.
All right. So Raj, welcome to the studio. I was kind of thinking back and I was like, have you been on any of these podcasts before? But no, you've not. I mean,
No.
Now that we have Shure equipment in here, it almost feels like you're on every podcast with us at this point. The spirit of Raj is always there, but we're happy to have you here, especially because it's always nice when we do these recaps about Symposium to hear from our own team, but it's nice to also get kind of customer experience of it as well, kind of seeing the other insight on it and stuff too. So I will say that Symposium always kind of feels like Sitecore summer camp. You get to see people that you really only see maybe a few times a year, once a year. And there's all this like build up and planning and things that go into it. And then it happens like that. And then you're almost sad that it's over. You kind of come back to a week of being like, wow, okay, now we have a whole year ahead of us before we get to reunite with all of our Sitecore gang. But it was quite a week. There were a lot of announcements that were made, a lot of great sessions, a lot of great keynotes. So I definitely want to go over with some of that today with you guys. So let's kind of maybe start off with MVP Summit, because that's what kicked off the week for most of us. As I've talked about before, MVP Summit is really kind of focused on the people that were awarded MVP for 2025. And I want to start with Casey and Raj yourself, because this was actually your first MVP Summit. And Raj, I feel like you're Mr. Sitecore at this point, so I'm almost surprised that it was your first one. You're kind of giving Rick Shepard a run for his money when it comes to the selfie game stuff. So mayor of Sitecore over here. But that being said, how was MVP Summit for it being your first time there, first time attending?
I think it overexceeded my expectations, honestly. Mm-hmm. It was more than I didn't know what to expect. Mm-hmm. I heard about it, throughout the years, but just seeing the community, seeing Tomas up there on the stage, the topics that were covered, just everything sort of came together, and it was just, it's just wonderful just to be there and experience it in person.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I agree, Raj. It's one of those things where it's just like, you don't know how many people are in the MVP community until you're there. So and then you're just like, wait a minute, I know a lot of faces in this room. And then you're just kind of you conversate, you're getting to listen to all these very like detailed product roadmaps for each of the different products out there. And it gets you really pumped up and excited to just want to conquer Sitecore.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think to the point that you guys make, it's like you see all these people in the room and it's like faces that you've seen for years, maybe whether it's from different webinars, different posts on LinkedIn, different Slack conversations and things like that. But then really getting to bring the community all together into one room. It's exciting. Yep. And then, obviously we sign NDAs, but we get to kind of experience and hear about things before they're announced and things like that too. How about the format this year? Like, how did you guys feel about it? I know that obviously this was the first one for you guys. I'd love to talk to maybe some of the people that have been to MVP summits in the past. What did we think about the format, it being split up into 2 days? And even more so, what I would love to hear from you guys is, last year's MVP summit kicked off the week, right? And I know in past MVP summits, they had it at the end of the week in terms of like the roundtable sessions and stuff. The roundtables were at the end of the week this year. Any feedback in terms of if you would prefer it to be roundtables start at the beginning or start at the end?
Yeah, I thought it was great, the format this year. I really enjoyed how, we got to build up all the data, all the information, take it all in, talk to customers, clients, prospects, other MVPs, et cetera, like really just take all that data in. And at the end, when we all had our questions and it was all collected and thought through, we got to ask the questions at the roundtable, hear more information about like the roadmaps. Maybe some of their questions were answered. And what I really liked was being able to like talk at the roundtables, ask for certain features, and then seeing other MVPs asking for the same features. So like making me feel validated, and then Sitecore being receptive to be like, yeah, like some of the product owners would be like, yeah, we can do that. We can do that. So I thought it was really great. I really liked it this year.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that to your point gives further validation when you know that there's other MVP experts in the room. I mean, there's the reason why people are awarded MVP, kind of giving you that backing of, okay, yeah, these are features that these guys are looking for too. And then again, allowing for those roundtable sessions to really give area for giving that feedback to Sitecore. And they've always been a really open community about being receptive to that stuff as well. So no, I agree. And I think maybe one of the things too is that it does give you guys a little bit more time to come up with your questions and stuff when it's at the end of the week. It gives you time to kind of like stew on some of the announcements and things that were being made. Anybody else have any sort of feedback around just kind of how it was broken out this year with MVP Summit?
Yeah, like I really love like they started with a session on the marketplace and they started like taking polling, like who's using it, who's not, like what are the features that you would like to see in the future, and that kind of like made it like a conversation with everyone just to see like what do you like, what do you not like, and what are the features that you would like to see in the future for marketplace. So it was like really like good opportunity for us like to share our feedback on their kind of like products and releases.
Absolutely. It's always been very collaborative, which I think speaks very highly to Sitecore as a product team, because they're always looking for feedback. I mean, we've been very fortunate to be involved in a lot of their kind of early onset testing of their products and things like that in the past. And then again, just being involved in a lot of these things with many different agencies to give feedback, let them hear like, hey, this is things that maybe like work really well. Maybe these are things that we'd like to see in the future and stuff like that. And they've always been very receptive to it. So I think that speaks highly to Sitecore and their team. How about the event at SeaWorld? Gaurav, again, I will never find anything that I can beat you in. There weren't any games for us to partake in. We got to go on that fun hang glider ride, so I'll say that. But did everybody enjoy the event at SeaWorld? Any fun stories or anything like that from it?
For me, it was meeting people.
Yeah.
It was connecting with other folks, people who just came in, introduced themselves. I introduced myself, and it was just great seeing people sing.
Yeah.
Although I think there was one person here that we were all waiting to. Maggie.
Raj. I don't even think anybody here knows that I do sing. So one of these days we'll get to it.
But
we'll dedicate a podcast to it.
But it was great just being with everybody and the rides and everything. Me being the first time there was very special and very cherished.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. No, I think that's a great point. Again, it's just like no matter where the event is, it's always just the best part about it is getting everybody together. You're obviously together during the roundtables and things like that too, but that's definitely more focused on different subjects and things like that. This is really the time to just socially be able to kind of be around everybody that's in the MVP community. So that's great. All right. So obviously MVP Summit, was very fruitful. We had it at the beginning of the week in terms of just some of the kind of Q&A with their product like leadership teams and stuff like that. And then that led in to the actual symposium conference before we got to the end of MVP Summit. I will say that at MVP Summit, they were very close to the cuff in terms of not giving the big announcement away, which I think was cool. It definitely built up a lot of excitement around it. But going into actual Sitecore Symposium, I'd love to hear from you guys just about maybe specific sessions that you guys enjoyed throughout the week. I know, being a Broadway musical fan, when Eric Stein walked out to Rent, I was instantly just happy with it and stuff. But then obviously all of the announcements around kind of Sitecore AI and things like that. But, speaking quickly to Sitecore AI, John, I know that there's going to obviously be a lot of kind of questions that come up, things like that. You kind of gave a nice kind of high level breakdown of it. Anything you can kind of give us insight into around kind of the announcement for Sitecore AI?
Yeah. First, I will give hats off to the Sitecore team for keeping a lid on this thing.
Oh, yeah.
Eric Stein was teasing us that this was the symposium to not miss, the most important symposium in Sitecore's history. And then very impressive they kept the lid on the key announcements. But yeah, Sitecore AI, extremely exciting. I think it's great for everyone, prospects of Sitecore, customers of Sitecore, but also partners of Sitecore. Mm-hmm. So overall view of it is, instead of buying individual products and SKUs within the Sitecore ecosystem, XM Cloud, Content Hub, personalized CDP, search, etc., you just buy Sitecore AI now, right? You procure that, and then you basically get access to all these components, or what Sitecore is now calling modules, which I think is an awesome idea. I think it's going to work out very well for the platform that all those other audiences I mentioned. But basically, Sitecore AI is now broken down into content management system, digital asset management, content ops, audience and intelligence, and also conversion optimization. So you procure the platform, and then you have access to all this product of suites, obviously with different limitations and different entitlements. But it's a great way for, I think, customers to experiment with the different parts of the platform without having to go back, getting more budget, and then having to procure different products. So I think this is great for the entire ecosystem. Extremely excited to see. Then with Sitecore now moving all their all their SaaS products to Azure, and now they're going to wrap AI around all of it and have access to all of it and the insights and data. I think it's just going to be only a positive thing going into the future. So very exciting to see. Mm-hmm. Leave it.
No, that was a great overview, because again, I think to your point, it allows for that experimentation, that opportunity for clients that maybe it wasn't in their budget right away to purchase some of the other products that were in the Sitecore SaaS suite, that now they'll have the opportunity to kind of get their feet wet, try out those products, see if those are things that maybe will work for their organization and things like that to really kind of lean and grow into. So I think that this is a really exciting announcement for Sitecore. And I know that we're going to be getting the team actually from Sitecore on here in a few weeks to actually give us more of a deep dive into just everything that encompasses Sitecore AI. And I'm going to have to retrain my brain not to call things XM Cloud anymore and stuff. But that will be cool too, just because I think that'll give even more additional insight into what this kind of new future holds. So looking forward to that. How about sessions that people enjoyed? Obviously, it was 2 days full of keynotes, breakout sessions, etc. Anybody have any kind of key sessions that they really enjoyed hearing about?
I think two ones that kind of sit in my head outside of all my team, all the American Eagle sessions. Mm-hmm. I sat in most of them and I enjoyed all of them. I think you guys did a great job. But two sessions kind of jump out to me outside of those. One, Jesse Cole, the Savannah Bananas. I mean, the energy, the room was electric. It was unlike any other place. I mean, I felt like we were at a Savannah Bananas game, because we were doing all the dances and the games and things like that in the audience. So it was just, eliminate those friction points. Like he said. I think about that. I think I've said friction almost.
Now it's just in your vocabulary.
It is. Every hour I'm like, okay, why do I keep saying friction now all the time? But yeah,
that's a good point.
That was a great session. And then one that I shouted out before, I'll shout it out again, was Jackie Baxter's content audit session. I actually got to talk to her during MVP Summit a little bit, and it was a great session. I've already started talking about with some of my customers and clients about starting some content audits, because we're in this phase where Sitecore AI is kind of looming and coming for a few, and I think that's the best place to start is starting with a content audit. So
Absolutely. It kind of gets you ready before you even make any sort of platform move or anything like that. And yeah, shout out to Jackie Baxter. She's always, I think we've been Sitecore fans of her for a while. So she always gives really good content, really good sessions. So I'm glad you got some key takeaways from that one. And of course, the Jesse Cole one was, it was electric, to be honest.
Bananas.
It was bananas. Wow, look at you, Raj. I will say I was a little bummed that John didn't walk out for his main stage in a yellow suit, though. But we'll maybe for next year.
I will be forever thankful that we won on before him and not after.
Yeah, that would have been a tough act to follow.
very.
Yeah. So I'm glad to go on before.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. How about any other sessions? Maybe anything that was like a little bit more on the technical side from any of the architects on?
How about the preview announcement of instant publishing? That's going to be an exciting change where you can schedule content campaigns and schedule all that content to publish instantly. That's going to be a cool feature to see that roll out this year.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I only been like to few sessions, but like one of the sessions was by John Price and Barb from Ematic, and it was like they were talking about their Ematic journey from XMXP to XM, like Sitecore AI now, and it was like very nice to see like the transition that they had to go through to migrate their content and sites to the XM Cloud, and I was very heavily involved with this project, so it was nice to see like months of work like summarized into like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I was gonna say that was probably a talk that you were close to because you were a part of a lot of it, and especially that slick site wizard I'm excited about. So no, that's very cool. Raj, anything that you saw in terms of sessions that you were excited about?
Yeah, you know what? Throughout the symposium, after I was thinking about it, and actually there's a couple of them. There's like a plethora of sessions because I think this symposium was very special, and Eric was on point when he said it's like a symposium not to miss because it wasn't just about technical stuff, technical details. It was more about, obviously it was AI overload for everybody, right? Which is great.
It's been that way for years. Not even Sitecore Symposium, but just the world in general.
Exactly.
Overload.
But I think the symposium touched on different points, like the human factor, the AI factor, and the fact that how things can collaborate together. Even like Eric Stein brought a really good question. He started off like a question saying, what question is your brand trying to answer? And that's very powerful because that means that you need to learn, you need to know the why, what's your purpose, without going into all this tech, which is wonderful, right? And so I think it was a very good combination of sessions. Even Roger Connolly also brought some really good sessions, like saying if your site cannot be read by AI agents, it cannot be found, and how you need to adjust your SEO strategy. So I think to me, was all about humans and AI working together, applying all these marketing strategies. And of course, the last session as well, the one with Mo and Liz and Roger, where they show up all the new features and advances for the next 6 months. Yeah, I think that was mind-blowing.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that. So
yeah, it's always exciting to see roadmap stuff too.
Exactly.
It's announcements of things that are current state that are happening, but then, as we all know, things don't just, you don't just launch product and then it sits there. You got to keep iterating on it. But I think that's a great point that you made too, that, it was resounding around, not just letting again, we've said it before on here, we've said it in other, presentations of ours, but not letting the tech run what you're trying to do, run your business requirements and things like that. And to your point of what Eric said about figuring out your why. What are you trying to do? What are you trying to accomplish? What is your brand trying to get at? And then allowing the tool to kind of help you get there. So that's very good points on that front. So yeah, how about any other maybe like technical sessions or things like that?
Yeah, one that kind of surprised me a little bit was a session on XMXP. So one that wasn't about AI.
Yeah.
But Sitecore AI is a really big draw now. A lot of excitement moving to that platform, getting a lot of features. But for clients that are on the XMXP, there's some exciting things coming too. So got to listen in on the roadmap for that one, where they're looking to move XMXP to .NET Core off of the .NET framework to get a lot of security improvements and performance improvements. So that's going to be a big shift. And I really like how they're approaching it, where they're making it opt-in. So you're not forced to make big changes. But as you're able to, you're going to be able to switch different pieces of your platform over to the .NET Core. Maybe it's just the layout service, maybe it's just the indexing or the publishing. And so you kind of opt into different pieces as you go along. And then eventually you've replaced everything for .NET Core. So pretty cool strategy for how they're going to approach that.
Absolutely. Making it
Yeah.
more iterative and not having to do all in one kind of a thing. And then I think even what we talked about on the last podcast, because I know that was the session you were looking forward to even before we went, but just that, not everyone is going to be on these kind of new SaaS products and things like that. A lot of, their Sitecore customer base is still going to be on XMXP. And, of course, the eventual move is to hopefully go to Sitecore AI and things like that. But, for those needing a roadmap into, well, what enhancements are coming for XM and XP, it's obviously very pertinent to get to that. So sounds like that was definitely a great session to attend. So beyond some of the sessions that we attended, I want to hit on some of our own sessions that we spoke at. So Jared, want to start with you. You did a session with our client Growmark, which congrats, by the way, because that went live yesterday. So congrats to you, the Growmark team, Rebecca, very excited there. But how did the session go?
Yeah, it went really well. I spoke with my client Molly from Growmark about our Project FS cooperatives. We talked about how we utilize tools like Sitecore Search and the app marketplace, and to unify their brand, their product experience across all their member cooperatives in one XM Cloud instance. So it was a really good talk. We had a really good turnout. Lots of questions and engagement, which was awesome. I made some jokes. A couple people laughed, and then
Jared loves getting laughs, that's for sure.
I do. I think I counted. Maybe I got like 2.5 laughs or something. But
yeah, 2.5. Okay, just that half laugh. Got to make sure we get that in there. So again, validation. We all love it. So
yeah, and I even got some people coming up to me in the booth like afterwards, just like continuing the conversations from from our presentation, and I thought it was great just to engage and just talk through the problems and share knowledge and learn some insights for what other people are trying to solve, and how something I may have worked on can help them.
Absolutely. No, that's great. That's great. I'll speak quickly on the session that I did with our ladies, Mary and Morgan over at Citadel Credit Union. That went very well. Like I said, we did a similar talk track at Financial Brand Forum in April, but this one even more so. I know after we got off the stage, Mary and Morgan were both excitedly like, that went even better than the one in April and stuff. But it really did. And there was a lot of engagement and stuff there. We had people coming up to us after our session just to say how nice it was to hear like actual real life like examples, which they went through. We just talked through a lot of the tool sets that we've strategically worked on with them this year. And then ones that are actually implemented and you could see on their site, and they had examples of it. And just some of the strategy that we went through with them too, because it's not just putting a tool on a site and hoping that it works. You really want to go through kind of the planning and stuff. And that's what we partnered closely with them on. And then also just talking through some of their kind of roadmap stuff and what's going to get them in to the next few years. I know specifically all of their talks about what they're doing with personalization just on XP right now was stuff that we got a lot of questions about afterwards as well. So overall, the session went really well. I can't thank those guys enough for continuously joining us on stage. So shout out to them. And then the other one that Jared and I actually were fortunate to take part in was a recording in the Sitecore studios with Ed Hardy from the Penn Entertainment team. So we were fortunate enough to have this kind of session with Ed, and it was really cool to just kind of hear his history at Penn Entertainment. He's been there for close to a decade and stuff. So he's really seen a lot of transformation, and they've been on Sitecore for that entirety as well. But just kind of talking through their move to Sitecore AI. Like I said, I'm going to have to keep telling myself not to call it XM Cloud anymore. But just their kind of eventual move to that and what you guys are strategically planning right now. And then again, talking through some of the kind of key features that they're going to be looking to do after launch around like personalization and things like that. So I think we teased it in the recording, but I definitely feel like a symposium session is awry for next year. So I think that one will be a cool one to see once we get that video released. John, how about your sessions? You had quite a few. Like I said, we joked that you were just going to be riding around on It's a Small World. I still think that might have been what you were doing. But you had Vizient, you had Amatech, and then you also moderated the one for United Airlines with Charlie. And Charlie couldn't be here today. I did ask him if he wanted to join as well, but I think he's out shopping for socks. So we'll talk to him later. But how about how did your sessions go?
Yeah, I'll give a shout out to Alex. I know he's on vacation in Mexico this week, well deserved. So I got the pleasure of moderating him and Charlie's digital signage session on their move to Sitecore AI. And the one thing that kind of came out of that one, we got a lot of good feedback on the session and just the process of migrating. But there are a ton of customers out there that have omni-channel signage type use cases. We had 4 or 5 come up to us afterwards. So it definitely seems like signage and omni-channels is hot right now. So it was great to have Alex and Charlie talk about that use case. And then the other really cool part about that story is last week during Symposium, complete coincidence, United Airlines was A/B testing different sign styles at the gates of MCO, Orlando's core airport. So utilizing Sitecore AI and the personalization suite. So it was just kind of a cool tie off with that story.
Coincidence.
Yep. So if you were at the Orlando airport last week you walked by United sign, you likely were seeing a couple different variations that Sitecore AI was helping showcase. So very cool there.
Awesome.
Ahmed already got to talk about the Amatech section. So Amatech, obviously, helping migrate 200 sites over from XP to Sitecore AI. So, shout out to Ahmed, Nona, and the team. I feel guilty being the one talking about it. The team's done a great job there, but Amatech's now just going to be starting rolling out those 200 sites and really good feedback from there. And there's a ton of Sitecore customers in the ecosystem. They're very interested in we'll call it our digital factory accelerator that the team's leveraging there.
Yep.
Vizient one, the main stage ones are always fun but nerve wracking. So very happy and proud of the Vizient guys for all the work that they've done with their team and our team. But they're a great customer that's really kind of helping push the boundaries of what you can do with personalization. And it was great to get up on that stage, even though it's only 10 minutes long. It was great to hear their story. So happy that Thomas and Mark were able to join us there.
Yeah, I was just about to say, you, Mark, and Thomas did a great job. 10 minutes, is quick, but you guys filled that 10 minutes very well. And I think it was very inspiring for a lot of people to hear. So great stuff. And then how about our celebrity Raj? I know you were a part of quite a few different sessions. How did your different sessions go?
There were officially 2, but 3, but all right. So one was actually very, very important, the Sitecore MVP.
Yeah.
Actually, it was very special to me because first year MVP, and then I had the honor to be invited to actually encourage other clients to become MVP. So
you have Mary and Morgan from Citadel wanting it, so
yeah,
that'll be out.
So we did the session with Lisa Salzman and Amanda Moraski, who Amanda is a strategy MVP. I'm an ambassador MVP.
Yeah.
And Lisa Salzman was moderating, and it was actually a pretty good turnout. We went over why is it important, the benefits of being a Sitecore MVP within your company, the journey, what you need to do, that it's all about, quality, not quantity. What do you need to do, and encourage mentorship. So we had a very, very good turnout, and I think it went really well. People were excited. We actually got some people that they do want to go into the MVP next year because I think application ends November.
Yeah, November 30th, 8 p.m. Pacific. Everybody get your applications in.
So, and then at the end, we gave an MB6 microphone. So that
there
was
we
awesome.
go.
Yeah.
Very nice.
And then the other session we did was with Dave Tilbury, with Sitecore's own. And it was about how agentic AI is transforming marketing. And that one was with Alicia Arendt and Chris Dasleva. Oh my gosh. Okay. I hope I didn't. Sorry, Chris. But it was awesome because we talked about just marketing and AI, like how SEO is transformed. What do you need to do from an SEO perspective? Governance, personalization, all these different topics. And one thing we realized is a lot of people are not taking governance very serious. And, we've been going through the governance program, and it's not an easy task.
No.
But it's very important, especially now with AI. So it was very good conversation, very good turnout.
Yeah. So you've built quite a few spreadsheets. I feel like we've talked to you about kind of your workflow governance and things like that too.
Yeah.
So you're kind of the expert. So
Yeah,
it's good that you're
so-
kind of showcasing some
Exactly. And then I did a session on Monday on another meeting on the Customer Experience Council where I presented the case for Shure and digital transformation, where we're going and all of that. So that was it.
Yeah. Oh, that was it. That was just, that was only the small things that you did last week. No, that's awesome. And I think those are, key areas that you were able to kind of hit on. And, again, going back to the MVP stuff, I think, the opportunity of more customers being involved in the MVP community is great. And I think, hopefully it just grows more and more, having people like yourself, Charlie, Amanda, teams like that involved. And stuff like that too, to really expand the MVP community. So that's great. The other one that I wanted to talk through a little bit was, they had the AI hackathon and we participated in it. And our tool that we can now talk about, because we weren't able to on the podcast last time, is Accessibility Owl. We built an entire AI tool around just accessibility and compliance. And it's really something that every single team, no matter what vertical, you could be in healthcare, you could be in manufacturing, B2B, wherever you are at, compliance and, being up to accessibility standards is going to be key, and it's something that, some teams pay really close attention to, but other teams just maybe don't have the capacity or the bandwidth to do that. So this tool is really supposed to help kind of allow for there to be more automation around compliance so that it's something that can really stay top of mind, but not feel like it's taking time away from your own teams and organizations around just some of the creativity and stuff, right? You can focus on the initiatives and have something like this tool to really help make sure that you're still staying compliant. So Ahmed, can you explain a little bit just about what Accessibility Owl does?
Yeah, sure. So the official name was like the Sitecore AI Agentic Challenge. So we participated in this challenge around like 1.5 months ago. So the idea was like to create a marketplace app, like that help any fixes a specific business problem. And we came up with the idea of like building an accessibility tool and utilizing AI to kind of like suggest things that you can fix on your either the code or the CMS as well. So the tool runs on the marketplace app. Like you can pick your site, you can pick the pages that you want to run the accessibility, like scan, and then you have two different options. You can analyze all of your content on the page. So I'll think about if you have a general link that doesn't have the title of your link. So that's a accessibility issue. Or if you have an image that doesn't have an alt text, or if you have a rich text field that have some issues with like how the HTML is structured. So these things that the accessibility tool can like run through and give you actual suggestion how to fix it and apply these fixes right from the tool. So if you have a checkout link and you forgot to add the title, it will know the context of the component, the context of the entire page, and give you a kind of like suggestion like to apply it and directly apply it to Sitecore. The other part is like running HTML kind of like scanning, and like it will group it by component and just tells you like, hey, like this component might have different or like incompatible like hierarchy of your H tags, so like you have to fix that. So it gives you that reporting, and you can send that to like your developers or like PMs and like have them look into it and fix that in the next release. So, and I actually like funny story, like I was testing one of our clients on Sitecore AI just to see their scoring on the Suite Insights, and I noticed some of the accessibility issues, and all of them just like links and images that don't have the right content. So I just ran the tool, applied all of the fixes, and now I got like 100% score.
Wow, that's awesome. See, and that's what I mean. Like, you know,
yeah.
people, no matter what vertical you are on, like compliance is always something that is important. And so knowing that, you know, it might be daunting to teams to run those things, you know, run a tool like Site Improve or run something that will tell them like, hey, these are the things that, you know, need to be applied. And it's great that you have tooling that tells you that. And then beyond that, having a tool then that can not only tell that to you, but then also can apply fixes quickly. It kind of takes, again, some of that, you know, burden away from their, you know, teams that might not have the capacity to go through and manually fix all the links or put in the alt text that they need. So I think that's going to be a very exciting tool. We'll definitely be using it with a lot of our clients, and it's going to be a part of that digital factory that John noted to earlier. So So beyond, there were obviously announcements for kind of Sitecore AI. Then there was the stuff around the XM and XP roadmap. There were a lot of announcements that came out of last week. But were there any other announcements that people were excited about hearing about and maybe are looking to hear more?
Talk about one announcement that was launch of Sitecore Studio. So it is an innovation layer of Sitecore, the Agentic Studio workspace that enables marketers to collaborate with AI through agent and workflow that will assist them for campaign planning to content migration. And they already have 20 built-in agents, and it also gives us options to create our own AI agent. So that's a very interesting one there.
Absolutely. And I think a lot of the stuff around Sitecore Pathways and the content migration piece and stuff is going to be stuff that a lot of customers are going to want to understand more about, hear more about, and things like that. So I think there's a lot upcoming in terms of just more expansion on a lot of these cool announcements. Any other announcements? I feel like you're itching to tell me something, Raj.
I think for us, from a marketing perspective, is the fact that you're going to have the suite of products available. Because if you've gone through procurement and how to acquire new tools, you have to go through individually, and now you're going to have access to all these tools that either we still don't know all the details, right? But you can create POCs, you can use them, you can see how you can apply them. So for us, that's very, very exciting, because now you have all this features at your hands, right?
There's more opportunity there.
Exactly.
It goes to what we were saying before about, allowing teams that maybe weren't able, to your point, like maybe there was just procurement things that weren't, able to bring on new products or things like that. There's going to be red tape everywhere, right? So now it's having clients have the accessibility into some of these new products to really see like, okay, how are these going to be something that we could apply to our own business so that you can get stakeholders and leadership on your own side involved and excited about something to then maybe, actually end up getting more of these products.
Exactly. And then design, agentic creation, the fact that now, for example, our web designers are going to be able to create maybe components with minimal development. That's exciting. So yeah, I think that's with great power comes great responsibility as well. So
for sure.
We got to keep that in mind.
Yeah. And that's where that governance piece comes in again, right? So that's, there's always two sides to it. But I agree with you that I think that I haven't walked away from a symposium feeling this kind of excited about, a lot more of just the innovation and the opportunities and things like that we're going to be able to work on with like our own clients or just hear about exciting things that other, customers and things are going through. So I have a feeling that there's going to be a lot of stories that are involved in next year's symposium and how this kind of all translates. So the other one I wanted to ask you guys about was that Sitecore did their own sort of hackathon around Marketplace. And I know that a few of you guys, partook in that and stuff like that. So any feedback that you guys can give on how that all went with the hackathon for Marketplace?
So one of the really exciting part of this year was Hackerspace. So it was a dedicated space where developer could get hands-on on creating real live marketplace apps. Although internet was not always on our side, but experience was still fantastic. We discussed the architecture design, best practices, even the difference between full stack and client side app implementation, Sitecore modern ecosystem.
Very cool. Didn't a few of you guys do it or no?
I think Nona did it, but she wasn't able to join. But yeah.
Okay, I thought
she was. Funny story. I can speak on her behalf. She built an app that we're currently using for a client during Hackerspace.
Okay.
So yeah, she didn't have experience before. She went to the Hackerspace, where it's a kind of area during symposium. Where, there are Sitecore employees or product owners of the marketplace, and they were explaining how to use it, what APIs you can use. And she actually learned the kind of platform, and on the spot she created an application that we are currently using for it.
Nice. See, again, it's allowing for that creativity, that innovation. The marketplace is going to be something that I think is going to be really, really cool for a lot of the developer community and things like that, to really just kind of extend what was, not maybe readily available before. So that's a pretty cool story.
Yeah, because I was confused because she was sending me screenshot of the application. I was like, what are you doing? Are you working now?
Yeah.
So no, I'm having fun at the hackerspace.
Yeah. No, I'm not working. I'm just, so no, that's great. So obviously, Symposium week is always filled with a ton of great times, great highlights. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about maybe just some favorite memories, things like that. I know we wanted Digital Impact Award with Vizient, so obviously that was a great highlight to the week as well, even beyond the main stage and things like that, just to highlight the work that that team has done. But any other kind of favorite memories or things like that? I know that I always love the lobby chats and things like that too. I think that we focus a lot around the sessions and things like that. But of course, just thinking about things that happen at the booth or in the hallways, conversations that you have, or when everybody is coming back from certain dinners or events and really just kind of getting to come together in the lobby. And again, at that point, you're stripping down all of doesn't matter what partner you're at. It doesn't matter if you are a developer or you are a marketer. A lot of that is where I feel like the collaboration really happens. I know I missed the pizza party on the last night, so I'm not thrilled about that and stuff. But any other favorite memories that you guys might have from last week?
I think all the togetherness.
Right.
Hashtag togetherness. I mean, it's seriously, like, it's, especially you mentioned in the lobby,
Yeah.
it's like everybody set their brand on the side and
Exactly.
everybody came together, whether you're from agency, partner, whatever it was, right?
Absolutely.
And that's what the symposium and community is all about: being together, being open, and friendship. And I saw a lot of that, and I was very impressed.
Anybody else have any specific highlights, memories, just a takeaway from Symposium?
I thought the week with the team was awesome. Just getting to spend time with Gaurav and Jared and Nona, the team that isn't here local with us that we see every day, as well as the team I see every day. And all the clients and everyone like Raj and Charlie, just really spending time being together, having fun. I thought being at Universal at night with no one else in the park was like kind of like an out of body experience. You're like, where is everybody? I don't like.
No, I agree though. That was so cool. And I went to Universal so much as a little kid. So even just being in front of like the Blues Brothers stage and stuff, I mean, I agree with you. That was really cool. And just a huge shout out to Sitecore for allowing that kind of experience for their, customer and client base and partners and everybody. And you guys went on quite a few rides. I went on one and then I had to sit out, but yes. No, very cool. I will say I had one cool memory that I will quickly shout out because it was kind of a cool parallel, because at the beginning of my session with Citadel, Morgan and I are big football fans. And so Morgan gave a shout out to her Eagles. I gave a shout out to the Chicago Bears, and I've been a football fan my whole life because my older brother played through college. But one of those things was, just saying in Caleb Williams, we trust, and we are trusting very much on the Chicago side right now. But I will say that on my flight home, I got to sit next to Chicago Bears legend and Hall of Famer Devin Hester, and that was pretty cool. So I think we leave Orlando and all the magic in Orlando, and that was a pretty magic flight home. So I will say that was a pretty cool memory for me for Symposium. All right, well, we'll wrap up here. I wanted to ask you guys, if you guys had any thoughts about the location and stuff with it being in Orlando and things this year. I know, Ahmed, you've been to a few of them, but
yeah, this is my third Orlando Symposium. It's still my favorite place to go to for Symposium. It's the weather is always nice in November, and Disney and the dolphins and the swans. It's a really great place to have a symposium.
Definitely. Any thoughts about where you guys might want it to be next year? I mean, we've heard rumors that it will be back in Orlando, so we don't know.
It's not rumors; it's official.
Is it official?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
I didn't know if we were allowed to say if it was official. I knew that was happening, but I didn't know. Okay, cool. So we'll be back in Orlando. And Jared, I promise you, we are going to figure out a way to get to Disney this time, because we did not do that this time around. There was just so much going on, but we will make it to Disney next year. I will make that promise now.
We got to go to Disney Springs, so that was
Yes,
pretty good.
yes.
I like that a lot. Yeah.
And I do love Disney Springs. So, all right. Anything else from anybody before we wrap up?
No. Thank you for having me. I've always been a fan of the Sitecore water cooler, so
Yeah, Raj, we're
thank
happy.
you. Thank you for having me.
Of course. We're happy to have you in the studio. You're welcome back anytime. And like I said, you're basically in studio with us all the time anyways because of these great microphones. So we appreciate it.
I know. I'm sure I saw a Shure.
I'm sure I saw one of those. There you go. Too good, too good. Yeah, thank you guys for all joining. Thank you guys for such a phenomenal week. I think to Casey's point earlier, getting, there's all of the bustle that goes on throughout the conference, whether it's cool sessions, cool announcements, really seeing everybody from the Sitecore ecosystem. But there really isn't there's nothing better than being able to spend just additional time with our own team. We all get to work so closely together on different projects and things like that, but everyone's always busy. So Symposium's always a week where we really get to spend time with each other and, just get reminded constantly of working with the best of the best in the game. So really appreciated the week. And again, spending time with you, Raj, is always, a highlight for me as well. So I was going to say this was like our 1-year anniversary because we met at a Symposium last year. So, maybe some exciting things to come at Symposium next year. So we'll see. All right. James, Casey, Ahmed, John, Gaurav, Jared, Raj, so many people in these studios these days. Thank you all for joining us at the Sitecore Water Cooler. I look forward to collaborating with you guys in the future, and we hope to have you back on the Water Cooler again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Sitecore Water Cooler podcast. Find out more information about AmericanEagle.com's Sitecore services and today's topic in the description below. This episode is brought to you by AmericanEagle.com Studios. I'm your host, Maggie Burke, and special thanks to our executive producers, Renee Nelson, Julia Klepich, and Brian Winger.